Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today is the WNR517 AEW Dynasty. I'm actually James Rowlands, but I've never actually said my name wrong before. But hey, there's a chance for everything. I'm not alone, luckily. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show, it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hi, what did you call yourself?
I think I call myself Jim's Villains.
Okay, hi Jim. Hi Jim. Hello everyone. Happy Dynasty Day. I'm ready to get in and talk everything AEW. There's been a lot going on, so stick with us today as we try and blitz through this.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We've got a lot. But up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
It's going. Like you mentioned, a lot going on in the wrestling world. Very, very packed April, to say the least, I guess, that we kind of wrapping up here, putting a bow on it. It's just a whole bunch going on in professional wrestling in general. But like you said, AEW has been pretty great for most of the year, so I'm excited to kind of just catch up from where we were last.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And last, but by no means least, she's like the wind through my tree. She rides the night next to me. She leaves me through moonlight, only to burn me with the sun. She's taken my heart, but she doesn't know what she's done. Feel her breath on my face, her body close to me. Can't look in her eyes. She's out of my league. Just a fool to believe I have anything she needs. She's like the wind. Just a fool to believe. She's like the wind. Just a fool to believe. She's like the wind. It is Gina, the Johnny Castle to my baby. Gina, how's it going?
Hey Johnny, that was awesome. I loved it. Maybe we'll put like a little disclaimer for loud warning just in case. But
God.
Either way, what's up, gang?
And I think you find I'm baby, all right? So don't...
Yeah. I'll be Johnny, don't worry.
Yeah,
I got this.
You're the one doing the lift, all right? You've got
Yeah.
this, it's fine.
I'll be fine.
Before AEW, though, we've got to just say quickly that, Monty, I'm sorry, man. We owe you a lot, but obviously you don't live in the UK, so me and the girls did meet up to go see some WWE live action now a couple of weeks ago, I think. Jaxie, just quickly, I mean, we went there to the O2 and all that lot. What were your thoughts?
It was just so much fun. We were so close, which was great. It was amazing. You know, they opened with Jey Uso. It was a really great time. It was a great night. And apart from the drunken lout that turned up halfway through the night, and he was there complaining that he wanted to see Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre and hadn't seen them yet, and we were just like, they've already been and gone, bruv. Like, and now all you're doing is interrupting us. Shut the fuck up and just watch the fucking show. So he was irritating. And I think everyone else around us were all pissed off with him, like, because he just wouldn't shut up. He was like the type of guy when everyone hackles at the same time and then it goes quiet. And then this fucking idiot just starts on the hackling when no one else is, you know? And everyone's just looking at him like,
I thought you were going to bang him out. Like, honestly, Monty, like, I've never been so scared. I thought Jaxie was just the look on her face. Like, we switched seats because I was like, she's going to fuck her up.
We did switch seats, but that was only because he turned around and tried to talk to us, and I just gave my sister that look to be like, you better talk to him right now.
Know why he was chanting
even I
Baylor.
wanted to slap the back of his head.
Like, Monty, when he turned around to us, I just gave Monty, James and Gina that look to be like, if he looks at me one more time, I'm going to headbutt him. So then James was like, okay, swap seats.
The thing is, I knew how drunk the guy was because he started talking about football like literally 30 seconds after the wrestling. No, he wasn't there. He didn't really know. And like he's chanting Finn Balor,
He didn't know where he was.
and I'm going, who the fuck is
Oh my
Balor?
God,
Like,
yeah.
is that what the fuck?
Oh my God.
But again, Monty, I learnt a lesson, and that is lost in Gina's eyes, Miss McIntyre's thighs, because of the kick. And again, Gina, I blame you for this.
I love it.
That was
I knew
all
you were going to blame me. I did not ask you to look my way. I can't
You're the
help
one
that
who
I'm so
turned around.
I'm so
Look,
dazzling
Yeah,
that
to be
you
fair-
went to say something to Gina and you missed a kill action. Don't blame
Can I just
anyone
say,
else but
no, I want to say, look, with Gina, we had to beat him off with a stick. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Jaxie just got straight through, but you know, I mean, Jaxie does nothing for me really, but I mean, Gina, like, oof, oof, do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Keep it coming.
But again, it was a fun, and again, incredibly, 16,000 people there for a house show. Like, sold out the O2 for this. It was just stupid, really. And Cody, like, breaking a table and shit like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just... But it was a fun night, don't get me wrong.
No, I think that was the best part about it is the very end, like at the end of the night, Cody ended things and he grabs the mic and he's like, you all have been shouting that you want tables this whole time. Someone get me a table. And he just put it up in the ring and just jumped into it.
Yeah, I
So
saw
there
a
you
clip
go.
of that online.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
And the other thing
brilliant.
as well was Apollo, not Cruz, but the Gladiator in full outfit showing up. Which, again, was just like,
It was just so random.
Yeah, that was
It was just
pointless.
random. That was really random. I was like, right, first of all, don't go around bullshitting us, acting like you and Ricochet didn't just meet today, because you definitely only just met today. So don't act like you two are best friends, you know. But it was just so out of place, out of character. Again, Gladiators is another form of sports for the UK, but like it is a sports show. So I couldn't really say like that there warrants any need for a crossover between gladiators and wrestlers. And I know it was probably meant to be a feel-good thing, but I was just confused. I was like, why the fuck is he here? So,
again, like I said, it was a fun night. I think the best match was Zayn beating Gable, Gunther, and Balor, as the drunk fan would know. But again, overall, it was good stuff. So we have Dynasty, but we should say now we're doing this on Thursday. This is the 2nd. On the 4th of May, we celebrate 9 years on the WNR podcast. And it's incredible to think, like, especially with you guys and us as a team here. Like, we've been doing this together now since, I think, like, 2020. So, like, nearly half of it has been you guys. And Monty, can you believe that, first off, WNR got to 9 years? But, again, like, when you think about this as a team and coming together and what we've kind of seen in wrestling, it's been one of the greatest periods in professional wrestling. And I don't know if that's just because of us.
We definitely have a big hand in it, I believe. You know, definitely I think we're doing a lot of, even though we ain't took one bump, we have a lot to do with all of it that's going on in wrestling. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like you mentioned, and me having my own platform for the last few years, I know how hard it is to be consistent. So the fact that you've been doing this for this long, and like you said, I'm just honored to have been a part of this as long as I have so far. And it's just special. I think the funny thing about it, you mentioned it, this much time, and I feel like we're really just getting on the cusp for how good we can all be together. And like the future is bright still, and I think that's really amazing when you think about it. When you think about where we are now.
Yeah, I think that shadow doubt. And again, Gina, like, you were the last one in, so to speak. But again, you've been part of this for like 3 years now, and we have seen like this, what the WNR podcast was, even with, you know, to begin with, or when you first joined to now, it is like a group and team effort. You know, it's like I can't take credit for 9 years. It's, you know, you're a massive part of this as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I kind of think how I was when I first joined the podcast, it was my first podcast to ever be on in the first place. So it was super nerve-wracking, but knowing even just my own growth with this pod, as well as seeing the pod as a whole come together, it just feels, you know, a really nice place to be in, I think.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. And again, Jaxie, I don't like saying nice things to you, but I will. And I say
Not standard.
No, I will. Don't get me wrong. Because like I said, we all talked about the amount of kind of people that come and went beforehand, but with you, it was kind of, I knew it was a little bit different, and again, it's the bouncing off each other and being able to do that and still feel as fresh as it was for like the first day, even now,
Yeah, exactly. It kind of feels surreal that we've been doing it that long, because it kind of it feels like we've been doing it for so long that when you state it still doesn't feel that long, if that makes sense. It's just one of those things where you lose track of time when you're actually having fun doing something that you enjoy and something that you love, and coming together, all four of us coming together to be able to really just openly discuss what we're passionate about, and share it with everyone, all of our listeners. It makes it just that much more rewarding.
And again, that's an excellent point. Just like to thank everybody that's listened throughout the years. Like I said, through different kind of ideas, some stuff has worked, some stuff hasn't. And again, this is we're all working together to just, again, there's no real end point. And I will say, though, in next year with 10 years, we'll definitely do something special for the 10th, like a party or something. I don't know what we're going to do, but obviously, 10 years. And again, it's like Monty said, it just feels like we're really getting started. It's like we've only had Roman Reigns as a champion. Cody's only our second. So there's a lot more time. But
that's actually weird to think about how long we've been doing this.
Yeah, exactly. As I talk about, we've had like Gunther all through his reign, Gina, all through the podcast. We've had like the greatest reigns. So like we've had Roman's WWE title reign, Gunther's Intercontinental, the Usos kind of tag team, everything. You know what I mean? Even kind of like Ripley and Bianca's title reign.
Everyone's going to be listening to this pod back and realizing just how amazing wrestling was before it gets shit.
Yeah. Well, this is the funny thing. We started the podcast because wrestling was shit, and it was better to look at other things. And again, wrestling finally caught up. Even with NXT, and Monty will tell you with 2.0, it was not good. So even on this time, we have survived. We deserve everything we're getting now. And like I said, what better way to enjoy ourselves than AEW Dynasty, April 21st, 0 hour, which lasted 90 minutes. So don't call it 0 hour then, all right? Anyway, RJ and Renee minding the shop. We get Trent Beretta beating Matt Sydal. Afterwards, Taylor interrupted, beat down by the Hill, demanding to know what his side his long-time tag team partner is on. Beretta staring down Cassidy, but running from Shibata as he interrupted his exit was a nice touch. Speaking of, Shibata and Cassidy beat Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty as well. We'll just go through those two matches and talk about predictions, because of the WNR Prediction League 2024. After Mania, before Dynasty, Bonus League, Monty on 16, Gina on 12, James on 11, Jaxie on 7, WWE Monty, Gina, James on 2, because Gina had a ridiculously good WrestleMania weekend. Jaxie on 0, and AEW, I'm on 1, the rest on 0. The first two predictions, we all went Trent and OC, all on 2. And then the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team and AEW World Trio Championship were at stake, with Acclaimed and Daddy Arse versus Bang Bang Gang. Billy Gunn was inexplicably booked like Superman until White delivered Blade Runner and secured the win. What are your thoughts on this, Jaxie? Because, of course, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang didn't last long, and then their blow-off is on 0 hour, and it's like the Trios title is not really thought of as much either, and the titles are unified now.
Well, it's just, I think it's kind of, it's frustrating. I think that's the best way to describe it, really, because we know that they're pretty good. They're like, the match itself wasn't actually even that bad. It was something that actually really got the crowd going and stuff. And all 6 of these men are, really capable of commanding the ring and commanding all attention on them and stuff. But it baffles me. You bring someone of high caliber like Jay White over, and yet 2 months later you got him on the 0 hour. When I'm really sorry to actually be that person, but then you got someone who's been accused of all shit and stuff, like Jericho, and his match is on the main card. I'm telling you now, spoiler warning, that match could have been on 0 Hour. They could have easily swapped around, and that would have made way much more sense to me. Just in terms of the trios belts from both the Ring of Honor and AEW trios belts, they actually should be more prominently featured over the FTW championships. So what the fuck is going on? So yeah, this to me, it was baffling. I wasn't really here for the fact that like this win that the Bullet Club Gold got literally happened on 0 Hour. It just, yeah.
Well,
It
the
was
thing
just...
is as well, Lo, and Monty, I know you've spoken about this, it's the kind of booking of Billy Gunn versus Jay White at this moment in time, which I just find even more incredible than kind of this feud being hot-shotted in a couple of months.
I mean, to be fair, actually, I was gonna just what you've just said as well. You just said about Billy Gunn sort of being showcased more than Jay White, and that is also a big thing that like kind of we're overlooking. And again, I from my point of view, I was trying to think: is it TK worried that like American audiences like won't resonate with Jay, and that's why kind of like he's not had the best start. I
Well,
don't
that's the thing,
actually
isn't it?
know.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
like, and again, you got to remember Billy Gunn's like 60, and I think the other thing as well, and I don't know, I mean, Gina, maybe, do you think Max needs to get some new material? Do you think the rapper gimmick is going to, because I think the last few has been pretty shit.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like that him messing up with his raps a couple of weeks ago, they were trying to make it something else and go with a different sort of storyline, but then they've also kind of scrapped that, but then still kept his raps quite like basic, and sometimes they're kind of just becoming like in bad taste, the raps, rather than, you know, actually being laughed at and finding funny. So I do feel like maybe, you know, the rap game needs to end soon and he needs a different type of gimmick. And I'm not even necessarily saying he needs a heel gimmick or something, but maybe they should slightly change it up. And don't get me wrong, I love the Acclaimed, but I do feel like then something different needs to happen there with them, because they have had kind of their time on the show and them in the limelight. So yeah, I feel like that could be something that needs help pretty soon.
And again, like I said, with the trios titles, I think the last time they were defended on the pay-per-view was like October. So again, that's something that might mean.
And again, can I quickly, I just want to jump back in as well. Sis, did I not say, as this trios match was happening, that House of Black had done much more with these belts before they ended up losing them, like, at All In? You know, and I felt like they should.
We were
they
talking
just,
during the match, saying like House of Black really should have these belts if they wanted them to be elevated to a certain level.
They shouldn't have lost them at All In my opinion. Especially because of how hot they actually are. Like you could see that Tony's wanting to push House of Black, even if it's like as a tag team and a singles or not or whatnot. But it's just like, again, like he dropped the ball on that, and he's done the same with the Acclaimed.
Yeah. Right. So Jaxie, scores for that match. I mean, the first two, I think a 3 would be fair. I don't know what you think about that, but what about this one?
It's hard because like I didn't mind the match. I actually enjoyed it, but I was really pissed off with where it was placed in the match card. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.25. You know, like it's good that Bullet Club Gold won, and I'm kind of happy about that. But I just I feel like this should have been showcased on Dynasty and not Jericho's match. So.
Gina, what about you?
I'm gonna give it like a 3.75.
Monty?
Yeah, I think everything you guys said was fair. 3.5 is probably where I have it overall. It was solid stuff in the ring. I don't mind anything, but like you guys mentioned, ice cold rivalry. that claimed what they had going. You can kind of tell it's already died down. They started to almost kill off Jay White's group, but I think it's the right decision to give them the belts for now, allow them to build something in the trios division. And, as far as Jay White goes, a lot of New Japan fans, a lot of people who know what type of main event talent he is disappointed in his placement. I'm trying to be patient. I'm just one of them. I just think it's one of them situations where Tony got a lot of the toys at the same time. That roster is loaded, and you can tell he just don't really know exactly where he wants to place everybody. But it's only a matter of time, though. I think he's running out of that time. Like at some point during this year, Jay White is going to have a serious one-on-one type of feud to get back to what we all know he specializes in. Because carrying the Gun Club has been great, and I love what Austin and Colton have done to improve. But I think we all know that Jay White deserves a lot more of a spotlight than the 0 hour. So I agree with everything you guys said. 3.5 is where I see it.
I can't believe I'm going to defend Tony, but I mean, it's not even defending really, but if they can make Samoa Joe world champion, then there's no problems with Jay White. Like I said, so it is fixable. It's not like, it's over and done now.
Yeah. But you just need to book him well.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, but look at the booking of Will Ospreay compared to the booking of Jay White, and Jay White turned up first. So it's like you can do it, Tony, but you're selective, and I don't understand why, because Jay White should be being just as featured just as much as Will Ospreay is right now.
Ospreay a cheat code though. You could just book him in matches. So you kind of like can cheat with that. Just like, let's just make dream matches. Ospreay's going to go kill it. With Jay White, you actually got to let him do his character work also. He doesn't just carry himself in the ring. Ospreay can just go out there and fight. And no diss to anybody. I just think it's a little bit easier to book Ospreay than it is for Tony, especially when you think about just how much talent Tony has to deal with at one time. Like everybody, like you said, you still got to try to find time for Jericho. Got to find time for this guy. Got to get an elite their spotlight. We don't
got to find time for Jericho.
Well, that's how he works. I agree. The fans don't. We all agree that Jericho don't need time, but obviously Tony is still making time for him. So you see what I'm saying?
Let Tony know that we don't mind if he wants to give up Jericho's time for other wrestlers. Like, can someone actually just pass that on to Tony?
But a thing is, I can say I want more Ricky. I want more Daniel Garcia. I want more. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people you can say that deserve more time than some of the people.
We could be here all day. We could be here all day arguing the cases of each of the people that each of these different wrestlers that just deserve more time.
Right.
Yeah, remember that push Eddie Kingston got? Anyway, we'll speak about it in a minute. On to the main show. Got predictions. We all went guns. It's all on 3. And we've got the AEW Continental Championship, Pac versus Kazuchika Okada. And Okada worked over the head and neck of Pac, targeting the area of his opponent and pushing it in the hopes of setting up the devastating Rainmaker. Pac sold the head and neck so well, I actually thought he was injured during the match. Again, someone with injury problems, though, you kind of worry. The Bastard's Black Arrow was met with knees to the face. The missed finisher stun Pac allowed Okada to rock him with his finisher and score a hard-fought victory. You knew it was going to be a good match because we got the holy shit chance before the bell. But again, Monty, this is kind of Tony with his toys. And again, to have Pac versus Okada open a show, it is incredible to think.
Like, that's a great problem to have. As much as it's always going to be awkward for me to ever see Okada in that spot, like, come on, man. Okada's a show closer. He has been for years, and I think that's what I saw a lot of New Japan fans complain about. Like, they can't believe it, but it makes sense, and it's not that big of a deal, especially when you knew, like you mentioned, that Pac was going to give him a great match. And I said Ospreay, but Okada does really well with athletic guys. It's the reason why he was so good with Ospreay, with a Kenny Omega. So I'm not surprised him and Pac went out there and did a great job. This was really, really fun to watch. I gave it 4.5. This was a great way to start everything.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And Gina, I don't know about you, but it's kind of narrative of or narrative even, I'm not American, of Japanese wrestlers either being small or kind of like the Americans always been bigger. Like Okada dwarfed Pac, and again, I don't know how tall Pac is, but Okada looked huge in this match.
He did. I mean, I was about to say, like, how small is Pac? Because Pac usually comes out with Death Triangle, but then Ray Fenix is quite a small guy as well, isn't he? So, yeah, you could definitely feel like it was a sort of, Goliath moment where Okada looked absolutely huge compared to Pac. But again, just as Monty explained, like, Okada works well with those who can work quickly, and like that's all I can describe Pac as. He just wrestles so quick. That's just kind of how I can describe it. It was brilliant. So yeah, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was so good between them both, and they had some good chemistry. And I would love to see a match again of those two in the future. So I would definitely recommend to watch this match. For anybody who doesn't even know Okada, this is an exciting match to watch because I feel like Pac's kind of like, home base. So, yeah, I would give it 4.25.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, though, you forget how good Pac is until you kind of see him against like an Okada. Oh, shit, yeah, he is that level. It's just we haven't seen him consistently enough, have we? That's, I think, the issue.
Exactly, and it doesn't help with him having been off with so many injuries, and then he's come back and then gone back off again for another injury, so it doesn't help. But when he is like fit, it is so good to use him because Pat just draws the attention in.
Yeah, without a doubt. Speaking of fit, I mean, Jackson, you got what you wanted. Okada came over to America. He's working
Oh my gosh.
as a heel. I mean, how happy are you right now?
I'm in my element. My sister and I watched it kind of, like I said, we tend to be, usually have like sort of a PlayStation chat open and we can both be in a chat together and stuff, reacting. She told me to shut the fuck up so many times because I could not stop myself going, Okada! Like, See, I'm doing it now, So I was in my element. This match was insane. I have to completely agree with Monty. This was one of my favorite matches of the night. Pac and Okada worked so well together, and it was one of those matches that I didn't know I needed, and now I feel like I need a round 2, I need a round 3, I need a round 4 between these guys. Yeah, this was fire. I gave this 4.5. I probably would have given it more, but we've got other matches to talk about. So I still controlled myself. Yeah, well, I controlled myself and decided no, I'm not going to give Okada 5 just because I fancy the pants off of him. No, so yeah, 4.5 seems really appropriate.
Yeah, I gave it 4.5 as well. The only thing I will say is Okada needs to keep this kind of level of opponent up. I don't want to see him against, I can't even think, like Action Andretti. You know what I mean? It has to be like a level.
Yeah. I think like you kind of lose the plot with Okada if you did that, because you have him be defeating smaller fry from Okada's like sort of like caliber and level at the moment. And it won't feel meaningful. This match with Pac felt meaningful and it was impactful because of like what Pac brings into the ring as well, So you need that same caliber of level of wrestler in the ring with Okada. And I'm not saying that as a dig to Action Andretti or anyone like that, but they're still much younger talent, So right now we all expect Okada to run through them like child's play. So don't put him in that position,
Exactly. The story is he's elite and he can beat these guys one-on-one, and that should be the story.
Exactly.
Predictions all went Okada, all on 4, and like I said, a great way to start the show. Crowd were hot and the right-sized arena as well. It looked like everybody was crammed in there. Really good stuff. Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe versus House of Black. Black and Copeland didn't touch until the closing seconds of the match, during which the heel blinded Rated R Superstar with his trademark mix and rocked him with a black mass for the win. Gina, again, this was a fun 6-man, but how fucking deadly is that black mass as well? It's just like, it's one of my favourite moves.
Definitely. I mean, again, I think that's just thanks to Malachi Black being able to make any move just look devastating whenever he delivers it. He's just another one who I would describe as another Pac. that is just so well with executing moves that it makes, like, whatever move he makes, it just seems like it's so painful, you know. And again, I feel like he's worked hard to get where he is. I feel like he needs to be, you know, taking the big main trios championships and doing something with them, because they have been quite stagnant, bouncing between the Acclaimed and the Gun Club, you know. So it is time that they push these guys to the top and actually utilize them, especially because they've been having just as great matches as singles for all three of them, you know, not just Malachi Black.
Yeah, and again, though, I mean, not to be negative, and Jaxie, maybe you can tell me I'm being negative, but I just, with Eddie Kingston, I just don't know. Like, he just felt he had momentum behind him. He had these three kind of titles, and it's just like, what happened?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what? His hype is still there with the crowd, but again, I can't say that this is definitely Tony, but it's bad booking. Like, you know, the momentum was there the moment that you know, Eddie won all those championships, but then at the same time, where was he, like, really relatively featured, and where was he featured to the point where, like, he had decent opponents? You know, like, I'm trying to think about some of the matches he had as champions before he started kind of like losing them here and there, and it's just like you forget who he faced,
But
you know,
this is the
defending
thing,
them.
and even with losing the title to Mark Briscoe, like, there was kind of hardly any mention on AEW television about it.
No. Yeah.
Again, you know, losing the Continental to Okada, like, you understand, but, you know, but it's even like with the House of Black, the difference in development between the House of Black and Judgment Day, from what they've been the past, it's just scary. Like, House of Black is exactly the same, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, like I said,
But like, you remember though as well that we kind of had this at the beginning with Judgment Day when it was first formed, and like they've worked their way up. They've like kind of managed to successfully win the crowd over, so to speak, and actually survive bad booking. And this is kind of what needs to, like, sort of happen now. I think at this point Tony needs to realize, like, kind of like how he drops the ball with certain wrestlers, and how to stop that, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gina, what would you score this match out of 5?
Do you know what? I'll give it a 4. That's me being nice. Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Jaxie?
I'll give it a 3 3/4.
3/4. Then Monty, what was your score? And anything else to add?
Yeah, no, not really. I gave it 3.5. I thought it was a solid match. It was fun, had a good moment. My favorite part was obviously the ending, like you mentioned, with Copeland and Malachi. The fans wanted. I think we all kind of wanted to see that. And I think I'm just optimistic that maybe this will lead to Malachi finally getting somewhat of a singles run, maybe a TNT title run. Who knows? I think that can be something that can help House of Black, get going, to have a prominent member on TV weekly or something like that. But like you mentioned, just been a lot of stop and starts with them. They're great. Like you said, their look is great. Everything about their presence is great. The people love them. But like you mentioned, just as far as making booking decisions, or as far as who they are and how many big wins they actually get, they seem to come up short, or at least be inconsistent so far. So we'll see how that turns out. But I was shocked. I was shocked that all those champions, everybody walked out of there pretty much with a belt. On Copeland's team, I was kind of surprised that they lost, but I wasn't mad at the result, especially with the way it was done. And like I said, what it seemed to be teasing towards, because I think we all want Malachi to get more of a focus, because he's another one of those guys that should be on television consistently and in a title picture. So I hope that's where we're heading.
Yeah, without doubt. You forget he was kind of singles champion in his own right, But again, like you said as well, the other annoying thing with House Black don't fucking win on pay-per-view, and this is the first time in ages, and it means me and Monty went for the faces. The girls went House of Black, so the girls on 5, boys are on 4. We've got the TBS Championship match. Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart. Of course, Chris Statlander and Sky Blue barred from ringside per the challenger's hand-picked rule. Nightingale fired up, powered through everything Hart threw at her, and delivered a gut-wrenching powerbomb to score a clean, emphatic victory. The match was good, but maybe failed to live up to some of Hart's other defences. After the match, Mercedes Moné predictably made her presence felt and stared Nightingale down. The much-anticipated rematch official for Double or Nothing. Jaxie, I mean, congratulations to Willow first. You're new 2BS champion, but this really wasn't about her in the end.
Yeah, so again, I actually didn't find this out until after Dynasty, but I found out that Julia's actually injured and things.
Yeah, she was working hurt.
Yeah, she's been working hurt this whole time. So first of all, I have to give it up to Julia, because not only are you the first ever, like, youngest, I think she's the youngest TBS champion so far, but she did what she could with it. Like, she ran with it, like, completely, and worked injured. First of all, we need to stop doing that, because this is how these wrestlers actually end up having such a short career span within wrestling, because you allow them to go this long before actually being seen to from their injuries, and that's ridiculous. But yeah, secondly, having a new TBS champion, it really kind of wasn't about the fact that it was a new champion. It really was that we all know how Mercedes got injured. We all know who she wants to be facing, you know? So we all knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was coming.
It's true. Like I said, it looks like Mercedes is going to be clear for Double or Nothing. Why they debuted her before, I'm not sure. Great reign from Julia kind of made us forget about Jade. And I don't know about you, Monty, but I think Willow should get in some defences before Double or Nothing, because I'm not sure it's going to be the longest reign. But
yeah, I've been wondering if could Tony pull a swerve, but it's like you mentioned, I doubt Mercedes is gonna work before Double or Nothing. Don't seem like it. So yeah, man, I'm with you. I think probably every week until Double or Nothing, Willow's gonna be on Rampage or one of the shows defending.
Right, so out of 5, Len, Jaxie, what would you score it?
I gave this a 4. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But we all knew that even though Willow came out the winner, like, her music was still interrupted as the winner by Mercedes. It was just like, okay, well, we all saw that coming, you know? So I gave it a 4 because I felt like the predictability of what I felt was very obvious that's coming up. It made sense for Willow to take the belt at this point.
Yeah. Gina, and again, we'll say as well, like, it's nice Willow getting this championship, you know, because she's not ex-WWE. She's kind of worked hard for this moment and got over on themselves. So I think that can only be a good thing, Gina. What would you score out of 5?
Yeah, definitely. I think Willow has been able to kind of solidify just herself and in the wrestling world. And, you know, she was the one to get such a backing from a lot of fans just because of how bubbly a personality she is. She's not someone you can forget easily. You know, like, we do get a lot of nomads kind of show themselves on AEW TV, which is great. But it's like not a lot of them stand out to the point that they end up getting pushed further and further, you know, and Willow was that for me, you know. So I definitely enjoyed the match, and it was great to see the two girls get their limelight. I like them both, but I do really feel for Willow, because I feel like Tony just wanted to have Mercedes on the show just so that, you know, he had that bit of gossip to talk about and say, you know, Mercedes was there, so it's helping the fans who were actually there to see her too. That's all great and all, but it just felt like it took the shine away from Willow's win. So yeah, I do hope she gets some title defenses in to show she has a bit of a run before she loses it to Mercedes. But I gave it a 4 as well.
Yeah. Monty, I mean, again, the girls pretty much now. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 3.5 is probably what I give it overall. I'm proud of Willow, like you guys mentioned. She got over organically. She deserves it. She's awesome. And I think I think it's an end game too. I give Tony a break on the Mercedes thing because I think if you're paying attention, you can see that with Chris Statlander and all of that, it's a story being told here. So I don't think Willow's gonna be just here to give the belt to Mercedes just so Mercedes can get her win back. They have history, so I think it can still be compelling and all of that. But I'm with you guys. We all kind of can see what's going on here, and James, other than the fact that they was in Boston, going back to what you mentioned earlier, I think that's pretty much it. Just pop, that great gate, and then y'all heard they got a pretty good gate from that Boston show. So I think that's more so the only reason why Mercedes would debut this early if we've been waiting this long, she still hasn't wrestled. So I'm assuming she hasn't been cleared. So yeah, that's the only way. It's the only reason why. I'm with you. I think that's kind of killed a little bit of the momentum. Like Mercedes, when she came in, I think the hype was there, but I've been hearing increasingly, and not everybody's opinion is valid on it. So I think some people are being unfair, but a lot of people have said, just watching Mercedes talk every week has kind of killed their buzz. But I think all of that don't matter as soon as she started wrestling. So you know how it is with Mercedes. As soon as she get in the ring, everyone is shut up.
Prediction, yeah, I gave that 3.5 as well. Predictions, we went Willow, girls on 7, boys on 6. Up next, AEW International Championship, Kyle O'Reilly versus Roderick Strong. This match kind of came out of nowhere, really. I thought it was going to be a bigger build. They kind of booked it a couple of weeks beforehand. Strong targeted the neck of his friend, looking to exploit the established injury. Of course, O'Reilly fought back, punished his opponent as well. Ultimately, it was an awkward executed run-in by Wardlow that did just enough to distract O'Reilly and allow Strong to deliver the end of Heartache for the pinfall. After the match, Adam Cole joined Strong, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett and Wardlow in the ring, revealing he no longer needs a wheelchair. The biggest reaction was Adam Cole. Again, the biggest reaction was after the match. But anyway, Monty, this is the Undisputed Era. These guys ran NXT, and this is a match we got. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. Kind of disappointed in the build, to be honest, when they got so much history. But at the same time, I'm giving it all time. I think it's all a part of this bigger picture with the faction that Adam Cole was running. You know what I mean? So I think with all of that being said, Roderick Strong and Ira O'Reilly did great. If you're just going off the wrestling was awesome. And I'm with the pop for Adam Cole is just because I think. Honestly, you got to think about it. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this way, but I haven't forgotten how much time was dedicated to the Adam Cole reveal storyline and all of that. So I think everyone is happy to see him getting closer to coming back because we kind of want to see what they decide to do next with them as a faction. So yeah, this was a positive, even if the match itself I think probably could have been better. But I thought what they gave us was really, really good. It was a really competitive contest. Even if the finish was, like you said, sloppily executed, good stuff overall, though. I think this was a positive at the end of the day. So I gave it 4.
Give it 4. I mean, like I said, Jaxie, how annoyed would you be as a talent as you try to give everything you've got in like 10 or 15 minutes, and the biggest pop is someone getting out of a wheelchair?
I mean, when that actually happened, I was very much like, oh, maybe they shouldn't have done that reveal. Maybe they should have held off. And it really was because it kind of made everything that happened between Roderick and Cole in the ring everyone forgot what happened in that match after Adam Cole stood up. So it was kind of I just felt bad for both of them because this was one of those matches for me that I felt was it reminded me of Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania, where you kind of, because that these two are best friends, they've been tag partners for years, they've got great chemistry. You thought that there was going to be something much more, and it was still a good match. There wasn't anything bad about it, but as you just said, when the biggest pop out of that match is coming from the man that climbs out of a wheelchair after, you got a question as to
I'm not saying they're not great talents, but like you said, it's the personality from Adam Cole, probably he had more personality standing up than possibly a Roddy Strong have got. But again, the wrestling
Yeah,
talent's on point. Like,
yeah, the wrestling is there. It's not anything bad, but it was a match like for me that I felt could have been that like first of all it could have either been on the 0 hour or it could have been like on a dynamite. You know, like it was a good match, but it was a like a standard match, and I it's probably because of the build up for this for me. Just kind of felt like all of this came out of nowhere.
that's
You
true.
know?
I mean, it did. Like I said
Yeah.
beforehand, it was kind of like, oh, we're friends, so we'll let you do your own thing. And then all of a sudden, it's just like a turn and stuff like this. You just don't really know why.
Yeah.
What would you score it out of 5 anyway?
Um. I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. Yeah.
Give it a 3. Gina, again, we need to talk about match, talk about Adam Cole, but is there anybody just kind of waiting or running down their contract as much as Wardlow? Like, even the way he walks to the ring is just wasting time at this moment in time. He is not motivated, I don't think.
I mean, I don't know. I definitely get like similar vibes as what I got with Braun Strowman whenever he came down to the ring for a random match. You know, you're just like, you still work here, sort of thing. You know. So yeah, for me, like I don't know, like they really just killed Wardlow's hype after bombing it with his MJF kind of storyline for himself. You know, where he kind of was sick of being the lackey. They kind of killed his momentum there.
Well, even that
But
promo he gave like a couple of months ago, how good was that? And then it's just went nowhere.
yeah, it's just stagnant again. It's like
Well, they
they just
definitely were like still building though, aren't they? Because especially with everything that happened when they got in the ring, like literally Adam Cole got into the ring at the end of the match just to shoot daggers in the back of like Wardlow's head. So they clearly want to do something with him. But again, like I don't know if that was the right time to be doing that because all they did was take away from Roderick Strong and Carl at that point. So that's all everyone came out talking about, not their match, but about Adam Cole walking again or Adam Cole staring daggers at Wardlow's back.
Yeah.
No, but also, just to say, like, if you're telling me that Wardlow couldn't actually like feel that tension as well, then like Wardlow is a little bit stupid. Like, in the sense of like, this sort of thing has happened to him before. He's been
I
turned
don't
on
like
so
how
many times.
obvious it all is. I don't like how obvious it all is. Like
No.
from day
I'm
one,
not
they've
saying.
been teasing that they're not going to get along, and I'm just like, why are we doing this so obviously? So I don't know.
Yeah.
They barely done anything together, and we already can see that Wardlow
Really don't
and
like
Adam Cole are gonna fight. Right? That's all I'm saying. They haven't even done anything together. So who's gonna care when they finally turn on them? In my opinion, at this point, because we all expect it.
Gina, what did you score out of 5?
Three and a half. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll give it 4. Predictions you went strong. Girls on 8, boys on 7. FTW Championship match, Hook versus Chris Jericho. The fans inside the arena made it abundantly clear they did not want Jericho to win, and in fact, even implored him to take his bags and go home. I mean, if he didn't get that, maybe the Fozzy Sucks chance, got him. Or if he didn't get that, maybe it was a please retire chance. But again, this did not stop, and I warned everybody. You all told me I was crazy. I'm glad I didn't go for it. But again, you can't stop the inevitable. As Jericho delivered 2 Judas effects, then used a baseball bat and became the new FTW champion. Taz checked on Hook after the match. Jericho acted as he wanted nothing to do with hurting the now former champion. Gina, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I think Taz's quote was the best when he says, "You sit underneath the learning tree, you get covered in shit."
What a great quote. Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm just going to say, I just don't really like Jericho. I don't know why. I've just got a bad taste in my mouth whenever I think of him.
No. Oh no, go camera.
I just don't. That I've just been put off, like whether the rumors of the allegations that came out about him are true or not. Part of me is getting sick of seeing Jericho. Like, can't you go away for a couple of months and let us miss you or something? Because right now I'm kind of getting sick of seeing him over some of the other talents that they've brought onto AEW and then we haven't seen for a few weeks. So yeah, it's just it wasn't my cup of tea, this match, if you want the British slang for it. It wasn't my cup of
That's
tea.
the nicest I think you've ever been.
It probably is. I'm trying to stay cordial, like just in relation to Jericho, but again, I really didn't see him winning over Hook. I mean, I get it in a storyline sense of way, but part of me was just gutted because I was like, that means we're going to see more Jericho because he's got this FTW belt. So it's like, great, we're not going to miss him still.
This is the thing, and Jaxie, I'm sure you could agree. Like, I don't think not liking Jericho at the moment. It's just, again, it's not even, and I will say for me personally, about the kind of stories that came out or any rumors or anything like that. It is just like we have had Jericho consistently on this podcast, and Jaxie, like you said, you've been by my side for every AEW show. On every AEW show, Jericho has been there. Everyone. I'm just bored of it.
Yeah, I mean, Jaxie's so bored of him, she doesn't even want to talk about him.
I think she's taken a walk. Do you know? I think she's just
She did what we all wanted to do during the match.
Yeah,
just walk away from the TV.
Just like, fuck this.
Ignore him being there, and then just hope that he goes away and doesn't show up to the next show.
I mean, Monty, are we being negative though? I mean, I know Jaxie's like, this is the moment Jaxie's quit the pod, but like with Jericho, it's just too much, isn't it? Like Gina says, if you don't go away, how can we miss you?
Exactly.
The craziest part about it is throughout his career, he's been one of the best at reinvention. So you would think he would know that by now. Like, he always was commended throughout his career as being one of the people who listened to the fans and knew when to change, kind of like Undertaker would do. But for some reason, he just won't go away, and he just seems tone deaf. This is not heel heat. This is X-Pac. This is go away. They want him to go away.
Yeah,
they want you to go away, man. And like, that's what I don't understand. Tony brags all the time about how much he listens to the fans. This is the fan-friendly company. This is what AEW is all about. People tell me this all the time. That's the difference between when Cody didn't win last year. I remember people tweeting at me that's the difference between WWE and AEW. AEW give the fans what they want, and WWE try to slow burn everything. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
But he's literally doing the opposite in this match. They're telling this man to retire, and you book him to beat this young guy who, by the way, Samoa Joe already put over and elevated. So I don't know what losing the belt to Jericho does for him. So yeah, man, this was just a bad look all around. You did warn me though, James, and I will give you your props. You told me this would happen.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, you're making an excuse for walking out. All right, no, go on.
No, I've actually been on this call this whole time, and like I've not even been on mute. Like I've been clicking the mute button. I was talking this whole time to you guys, and you all were just ignoring me, and I had no idea why. I've had to like fully leave this pod just to rejoin it again, just to actually get my voice heard. Okay, like
well.
Jesus Christ. I was talking the whole time about Jericho, and I thought Monty was being really fucking rude because he just started talking over me. I was like, well, fuck you then, Monty, and he didn't even hear it.
Well, I did say that you had nothing to say about Jericho. That's how it is to us right now.
I had a lot to say about Jericho. Probably best that for some reason the pod did not want to let me talk. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I agree with a lot of your comments about this. The one thing I do want to point out and reiterate so that everyone can hear what I said was it's not even, it's not about the fact of The issue that I have with AEW right now is that they really are just shoving so much more Jericho in our face since a lot of these controversies have come out, and they're choosing to ignore, like, or acknowledge that there's clearly something that needs to be investigated here, you know. But then you've got people like Sammy Guevara and stuff that are, you know, still rightly so getting called out for some of the bullshit that they've done. But again, they've shown repentance. They've like, you know, done stuff. They've either been, like, you know, suspended. They've, you know, other things. What's Jericho done? Just is that be given more screen time? That's the issue that I have with Jericho, because he doesn't deserve any of that. So anyway, let's move past Jericho.
I like him. No. No, I agree. Right, so scores then for this match. I gave it 3 1/4. Jaxie, would you score it?
Yeah, I gave it 3.
Gina?
3.
Monty?
Yeah, 3. Didn't want to see it. Hated the result.
Predictions, we went Hook, so the perfect score is over. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? The girls are on 8, boys are on 7. AEW World Women's Championship match, Thunder Rosa versus Timeless Toni Storm. Next, Rosa removed the mask within it. She did not have her customary face paint on and nod to an angle that saw Storm wipe it off. With Deonna Purrazzo hitting ringside area and brawled into the back with Mariah May. Not before leaving Luther down and out in the arena 4. The champion found herself without her support system. Instead, she capitalised on the referee distraction and delivered a kick below the belt on opponent, then delivered Storm Zero to retain the title. Jaxie, I mean, I get your thoughts on this match, but I'm a little bit offended. Tony was wearing whiteface, and I'm not sure how to feel about that, you know. But what are your thoughts on the match?
I mean, first and foremost, Thunder Rosa is beautiful. You know, beneath the face paint, she's just got such a strikingly gorgeous face. And that's not to take away from her beautiful, you know, war mask, her face mask that she puts on when she does wrestle. But it was actually really lovely to see her come out, and I felt this certain vulnerability coming from her, like, you know, without this face mask on. Like, what, makeup, face mask, paint mask. But yeah, I thought this match was good. I think that they both worked really well together. I don't know if there's certain times where I felt like the crowd like started to die down a bit, and I'm not sure whether or not they were getting fatigued or not.
But is the crowd always quiet for the women's action? And is it because of the way it's booked, or is it the way it's positioned on the pay-per-view? Like I said,
I think it could be.
Well, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it could be a mixture of both, to be honest. I think it could be a mixture of position in the match card, as well as just fans naturally maybe aren't as inclined. But then again, this sounds so bad because I don't like comparing any of the women in any promo or anything about, you know, what they can do in the ring and stuff. But when you look at Julia and Willow's match, there was a lot of anticipation in that match because everyone knew who was going to be coming out at the end of that match regardless, you know, and so the hype was there. But it just seems that the hype is only there for certain wrestlers at this moment, certain female wrestlers at this point. And again, also could be down to booking.
Well, the thing is, though, I think Thunder Rosa can come again. A feud with Purrazzo could work. But, I mean, Gina, I don't know about what you think about this, but again, it seems that Toni Storm and Mariah May is the kind of end game, maybe. But why is Mariah May walking around like Toni Storm still? That was like a one-shot deal, and now it's just continued gimmick now.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie here, guys, right? And this is really shocking for me because it's not really my type, but I kind of have a crush on Mariah May. Like, every time I see her, I'm quite gleeful. I'm just, yeah, she's quite beautiful.
Yeah, I think you've been liking her. You've been liking seeing a lot more of her lately. And I was like, what is your obsession with her? And you're like, she's just gorgeous. I like looking at her.
Yeah,
I
just
thank you for that,
not
Gina.
my type at all, but
I will use that. Thanks.
Don't know. You know, seeing as I'm not getting any Ricky Starks content, I've kind of like sought other means with Mariah May. But either way, I do feel like they're trying to get it to that kind of end point where Mariah will kind of get sick of being in Tony's shadow and being like mini Tony sort of thing. But it will kind of pave a little question, because it's like, well, you came in this big, massive fan, so it does bother you in the sense of, how are they going to like end this story? Are they going to do a full-on turn for Mariah because she's sick of being treated that way? Or is Tony going to start getting jealous of maybe Mariah getting a bit of a hot streak behind her and then turning on her? So it does depend on how they go about it. But I do know that, like, the crowd just absolutely loves Tony Storm at the moment. So she's definitely still quite hot.
Yeah. I think this is the thing. And Monty, again, we've talked about this before. It's like Tony Storm's character work at the moment is the best of her career. It's just the in-ring work, which would be one of her strongest points, has kind of been taken away a little bit. So do you reckon that the next character she creates will be like this perfect amalgamation of everything?
Maybe to an extent. The funny thing about it, you say that, I thought this was her best match. I thought this was actually the best worst match. I thought Thunder Rosa got a really good timeless Tony Storm match, but I agree. But I think the funny thing about you guys mentioning Mariah being the end game, I wonder, is she the end game, or is Jamie Hayter Wembley return the end game? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's still a possibility too. Depending on the timetable.
Don't do that to us.
Hey, I'm just saying, they're two. We got two great British possible.
Such hope. I really wanted, I would love that if Jamie came back, but like the minute I just start wanting it, the more angry I'm gonna get watching AEW TV and not seeing a Jamie return.
Honestly, is she going to come back? I haven't heard from her in so long. I miss her.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, they just drop off the face of the earth in AEW.
But also, but you got to say this again. Even though like we're talking about missing Jamie, who rightly had to just sort of vacate the belt, and definitely is got this just as much scope like Thunder Rosa to sort of like come back fighting for that. It just makes you think, well, what happened to Brett as well? Because she's not injured. But it's like the last time we saw her, she was getting mashed up by Chris Jericho in front of Adam Cole when he was still a babyface. Yeah. And it was like, then he got injured. And as a result of him getting injured, she stopped getting TV time. And I'm like, I don't know why.
No,
there's no explanation. Like, they've not even explained where she's gone.
No, and it's even like Saraya as well. Does she even wrestle anymore?
Yeah.
Or is she like, is she clear for action, or what's going on? It's like, don't get wrong.
Did she too?
She's not pregnant. That's just Ruby.
Again, Ruby being pregnant is another story that, it's kind of under the radar a little bit. And it's weird, like the women's division is getting better, but still there's so much talent that needs to be kind of used better as well in a weird way.
Yeah, underutilized at the moment. And I think Dynasty just made it very obvious that how underutilized the women's division currently is. And again, like I could be out of line for saying this, but I do think that if someone like Britt was also still around right now, I wonder whether or not we'd actually have more content, because she was one of the original faces of the women's division within AEW that actually won the crowd over and everything. So it's kind of like, has that momentum died down with some of the wrestlers just kind of like disappearing off the face of the earth and us not being told where they are or what's happening, Yeah,
right down. Jaxie, what would you score this out of 5?
I mean, I'll give it a 4 1/4. I enjoyed the match, and I thought that both women did really well in it. But again, I kind of just felt like I didn't really believe that, even though I know that Thunder Rosa could take the belt from Toni Storm. I just didn't see Toni Storm losing it at this point. She's got too much momentum still behind her.
No, I agree. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
There you go. Monty? I gave it 4 1/4.
I think Monty. Yeah, I think Monty's just popped off. I think he had a baby to go and deal with. So we'll update you on Monty's score.
Yeah, we'll come back. Yeah, predictions. We all went Tony. So girls on 9, boys on 8. Up next, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. It's a dream match. Was Rock versus Austin? I'm just asking for a friend. Anyway, here we go. All the build. Would this be the greatest match ever? Well, we see Ospreay caught a kick to the ribs that appeared to hobble him during the match. Danielson targeted the elbow of Ospreay, hoping to prevent him from using the hidden blade. American Dragon delivered a picture-perfect tiger suplex from the top rope, but this was a war of attrition, which saw Ospreay and Danielson stare each other down late. Each launched themselves out of their respective corners. The aerial assassin got the best of the American Dragon, laying him out. A tiger driver followed, apparently injuring Danielson along the way, before Ospreay delivered hidden blade for the pinfall victory. Ospreay checked on Danielson after the match, continuing the story that he cares too much about his opponents and has too much respect to be part of the hated Don Callis family. Again, I hate when they call it a dream match. I mean, Monty, again, talk about a dream match. I don't even know if you're there, but this I delivered, and I don't think I can remember the last kind of match that people saying how good it was going to be and actually was.
Yeah, man, it's one of them things. It's one of the matches that's almost hard to talk about for me because I talk about it all the time how spoiled I've been watching Ospreay over the years, but the same thing can be said for what Danielson has been doing. I've seen people trying to just single out his AEW run, but even in WWE overall, you can make a lot of people make the case, but I do think Danielson has a case for one of the greatest of all time, if not the, just for just as far as like wrestling goes. Maybe not character wise, maybe not always. You can always compare. There's different parameters where people rank their best, but like you can put his resume and his quality up against anyone, especially and then particularly what he's been doing on the way out. I don't think I've ever seen anyone on this type of run when it just comes to the quality of the matches that they've been producing. And Ospreay, like I said, awesome for a long time. Just special, Like I said, just special. Every match he has feels like a big deal, but this one felt like you mentioned a dream. It felt like the dream match was meant to be, and I was genuinely invested. I think I've seen some people do things that they tend to do with Ospreay, which I don't mind it. Again, I think this is perfect. Don't get me wrong. If it's one match from this card, and I mean one, this is the match everyone is gonna say go check out. And it deserves it. It was perfect. But I saw people saying it was the greatest match on American soil, and I'm just like, that's gonna always be up for contention because there's been so many great matches over the years, and I'm just like, yeah, you're gonna have to get back to me on that one. I think it's great, definitely match of the year, one of them. But what I also love was the duality. I love how close to Cody and Roman's match it was because I felt like Cody and Roman's match was 5 stars. It was perfect for a completely different reason that you would love or say that Danielson and Ospreay's match was perfect. And I think that's what kind of signifies how great pro wrestling can be. You can have a competitive, physical, athletic contest that blurs the line on whether or not someone is really hurt or not. And then you can have the good fun with all the run-ins and all the nostalgia and just all the emotions that the Cody and Roman match gives you. And I think the only edge I would give Cody and Roman is my investment. I think it's a little bit one of those things that a dream match you kind of lose when you don't really. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't know about you guys, but if Ospreay won or if Danielson won, I think we all would have been satisfied with especially with that contest. No matter who would have won, of course you biased because we predicted this match, but you know what I mean. Like outside of the predictions, just in general with a dream match, you sometimes depending on the dream match, you don't really care who wins, especially the way they booked this one because I don't really think anyone was overly heelish going into this or anything like that. So, but in Cody and Roman's match, I think we all were kind of rooting for one side. If you were a Roman fan, you definitely was rooting for the bloodline to prevail. And if you were just ready for something new, you were rooting for Cody. And I think that's where I kind of be like, where I was a little bit more invested in that one. But you can't go wrong. I think both of these matches, but particularly this match, was just a joy to watch. And I think we all can look back and just be like, man, well, it was an honor to watch them clash, for the first time ever. It was really special.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like you said, it's interesting as well because Ospreay comes over with kind of reputation and a lot of people haven't seen it before. And like I said, even this kind of run that he started now could be like a legendary run, because it just seems every match he's having is like a match of the year. And you talk about Danielson as well, like what a talent he is. This was, like we talk about, for me, this is the greatest match in AEW history. But again, like we said, we have to look back. There's a lot. But, I mean, Jaxie, again, this is just everything that we want. Like I said, the styles at play, the way it played out was just brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Monty brought out some really, really good, valid points, and especially with bringing up the example of Roman and Cody's match as well. I have to agree, this is definitely like a 5-star match. You couldn't really look away without actually missing something great being performed by either man. Both of them looked great in this match. And even though there was a winner, I don't think that there was a loser at all. I was genuinely concerned that Bryan Danielson has to be one of the best actors out there. Honestly, Hollywood is calling him for once he's fully retired, because he genuinely had me Googling whether or not he's actually injured, and whether or not this was another situation like the whole eye socket thing. And I was very concerned. So they got me with that one. This was just everything that you want in a match between two amazing wrestlers with two amazing accolades behind their backs. I don't think that any, like Monty said, I don't think there was any side that wasn't rooting for either of them. I think we were all rooting for all of them. I don't think that there was. Yeah. Even if we did lose at predictions, I don't think anyone lost. Anyone watching that match just gained like a real high just from watching that. You can get an adrenaline rush all on its own just by watching that match. So, yeah, go watch it. It's great.
Yeah. Like I said, really good stuff. Gina, as Jaxie mentioned as well, though, I didn't really like the end because, again, with Danielson, with the injuries, I know they're trying to say, Will was concerned. But I just imagine them shaking hands and hugging, and then, having that celebration at the end would have put the cherry maybe on top as opposed to this,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like I would have preferred that sort of ending rather than this one. Like you said, we all know that Bryan Danielson has had injury before, so it's worrying to see him like that. And even though we don't know him personally, we watch him every week. We're fans of him, so of course us as fans are going to literally be like super worried when we've seen people like Big E get their neck broken in a match and things, so it is really scary when they especially press it like that. And I feel like if they had just done a clean ending where they got to do a handshake after and the show of respect between each other, like that would have just had a better aftertaste, I think.
Can I also jump on that, because I actually thought before the injury, the fake injury happened, before that moment, I genuinely was saying to my sister, I feel like we're going to get this close. And this was another reason for my prediction as well. It's like we were getting so close to the end of this match, and I was like, Don is just going to call Will Hobbs out, get him involved somehow, or have Hobbs take Bryan Danielson out at the end of the match, and then that will sort of also then jolt Will into not joining the Don Callis family and actually standing up for Bryan Danielson. That is what I thought was going to play out, and I think that would have come across better, because I agree with both of your points. Bryan Danielson's been plagued with injuries before, and considering this is supposed to be his final year of wrestling, to have a fake injury like this happen, it actually doesn't make people excited. I was genuinely distraught and upset, thinking, "Oh my God, has he just ruined the last half of his year that he wanted to have in wrestling?"
His last year, and he's taken 2 months off every match. And it's
exactly.
That's not your last year then, it's 2 years. But anyway, 5 stars, I would say, all round there. Predictions, we all went Danielson, the girls on 9, boys on 8, and the penultimate match, ladder match for the AEW Tag Team Championship, FTR versus Young Bucks. CM Punk chance interrupted the stare down between the two teams early on, but that didn't matter because we got into the action. The Bucks dominated the match, delivering the EVP trigger to Wheeler, who was trapped in the rungs of the ladder. Wheeler delivered a moonsault off a bridge ladder, wiping out the heels on the floor. Harwood took off Matthew Shue and throw back to their first encounter way back in 2020. Nicholas delivered a 450 splash for a table that wiped out Wheeler. Pile drive from Harwood to Matthew drew this is awesome chance. And Wheeler absolutely ate it on a tope suicida attempt, missing Nicholas, crashing through a table. But suddenly, Jack Perry returned. It was staged as a fan running and treated as one as he cost FTR and the Young Bucks became new champions, 3-time champs. Gina, this was fucking nuts.
Yeah, this match was actually crazy. It really was. And like, I think, was it this match that the fans were actually chanting, please be careful?
Yeah, well,
Yes,
please be
yes,
careful.
yep.
Yeah. I think
like,
that's the first time we've ever heard that.
It is, for sure. And I was glad that they were chanting that, because that was all that was going through my mind, is like, guys, seriously, after what we just saw with Bryan Danielson, I literally don't want to see any of these four like hurt themselves during this match. So I was really grateful to the fans shouting, please be careful. But it was just crazy from beginning to end. It's another one that you didn't really want to blink at, because there was just so much going on all the time. And both teams do so well at just keeping the adrenaline up and knowing when their mark is due and things like that. So the match just worked well for me, and I'm happy with the outcome because of my prediction, but I also just felt it coming, because again, the last we saw Matt and Nick, they were losing to FTR, weren't they? And they threw that massive bitch fit, and we didn't see them for a good couple weeks or something, or a month or so. And then now they come back, these pompous assholes, and I was like, they cannot have them lose to FTR again, you know? So
But
it was a great match.
Without doubt, and I think what helped as well, and Jaxie, as we've spoken about, you know, them showing the CM Punk footage from All In and wondering where it's going to go, to have Jack Perry show up and cost FTR and look like he's become a part of the Elite now, which he has, I thought was really, really good. And I actually was like, do you know what? Fair play, you know?
Do you know what? First thing I have to say is tables, ladders, chairs. Oh my, because that is literally how I would describe that match. If anyone goes, oh, you watched Dynasty, didn't you? Oh, how was FTR and Young Bucks? Tables, ladders, chairs. Oh my, you know, that was all it was. I was one of the crowd being like, please be careful, because I think there was just a consecutive amount of people going through tables, or people being like hit with chairs on the back of their backs, or they were in between ladders getting just pummeled on. So and it was just, they were not letting up. There was no respite. So I'm glad that even the crowd were starting to worry about all four men's health. It was absolute carnage, this match. You'd have to watch it to really kind of see like how fast paced everything was, but I can only imagine how exhausted all four of those men were after that match. But can we just talk about the very meme-worthy moment of the reveal of Jack Perry? Did you see his face? He looked like the smuggest teddy bear with that beard. Like, it's so funny, because it's like there's still that level of innocence. Like, what? I didn't do anything, you know? Like, there was just that he had in him. And I thought, like, the way that even the security guards handled it was, like, brilliant. I think the whole thing was brilliantly executed. And I knew that there was going to be something that, like, kind of took place as to what or how the Young Bucks would have won. But I kind of figured maybe we might have got a chance to see more Okada later in the match, and he was going to be the one to come out. I did not expect Jack Perry to be revealed here. I kind of thought maybe he would just turn up at Forbidden Door. So that's how I thought he was going to come back into things. So this is interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where things go. And this is a new character change for Jungle Boy. The one thing I will say is, please give him better music than what he originally had in AEW. It's too slow. It didn't work. Give him a different entrance music, please. Okay.
I think you were right, though. Like, given the the look he had on his face, the Kevin McAllister smile after just taking care of Harry and Marv. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, just after he's got a new idea as to how to fuck with those two. Like, that is exactly the look. You've just got that spot on there. That was exactly the look.
Gina, Gina, what would you score out of 5?
I'd give it a 4.5.
4.5. Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.5.
Monty, what would you score? And yeah, like I said, this was just classic TLC madness.
Yeah, I give everybody involved. I give everybody involved props, man. It was absolutely a fun match. It was insane. It was bonkers. It's a great way to kind of just describe it. Every time you turn around, something else was happening, but it all made sense. You know, it was kind of cool to see these two of the best teams in the world have a different style thrown into, because they already have pretty good to great regular tag matches. So it's kind of cool to see them throw the ladders and stuff in there. Yeah, man, I thought it was cool. I was a little spoiled, maybe because I kind of knew Jack was gonna show up, mostly because it was the only reason why you would even show the footage, and then also I kind of I was privy to it because I seen what happened in the Windy City Riot in New Japan, and him kind of shaking hands with Shota Umino after their great match there that he had. Which, by the way, I think honestly it was genius. I still don't know why the hell he was suspended for so long, but it was so genius for him to work on his character in House of Torture in New Japan for a short period of time, because it seemed like he's done now already. And I just think that was really, really smart of them to get him used to working a different style, get him used to being in this scapegoat character. If you didn't get a chance to watch much of him in New Japan, I think you will enjoy what Jack has to do, or Jack has been doing with his scapegoat run, in my opinion. I think he did pretty well in the few matches he had in New Japan. And if that's where he's going to be going in AEW, and then, like you said, pairing him with the Elite when they're all smug assholes and all of that, I think the scapegoat will be really, really good. He'll fit right in for what they have going on. And he, like you mentioned, the face, everything about it was just really well done. Even if I can go back and still say that I don't know if I still don't like the doing of the tape, because at the time and just the way everything turned out, the CM Punk chance, I just don't agree with having somebody else still getting chance, and still, especially when he's on the other show. But again, they tied it up perfectly with a bow, and I think I saw some people using the reaction to Jack to try to say that justifies it, but I think they would have been. I think a lot of people would have reacted to that anyway, because again, people weren't really expecting Jack unless you knew that he was exiting New Japan like I did. So again, I thought this was really, really special as far as like the moment. The moment was really, really good. One of those standout moments from the show, and the match was top notch. So yeah, 4.5 is where I sit.
Yeah. And just to mention what you said there about Jack Perry, and again, people, showing up on AEW, there's probably no nerves there because, like you said, Windy City, he went to Chicago and actually came across as a huge star and didn't really get as negative reaction as many were expected, and again...
Oh, no, they chanted Punk, but he worked that crowd masterfully in Chicago.
And the backstage comments as well, that he's, like you said, he's been working on Japan. Like, he's developed more in 4 months than Finlay has in, 2 years. And that's not a shot at Finlay, it's just, it seems Perry has just come along.
I have to agree with that. I have to agree with that,
freedom.
especially from someone who, so far, I'm really right. Don't have a go at me, Monty. I'm still trying to catch up with the New Japan Cup, right? But as soon as the Windy City promotion happened, I of course put that on because I had to watch Mox's match. However, one of my favorite matches of the night was Shoto versus Jungle Boy. Jack Perry, sorry. And I think it's because, I have seen his entrance into House of Torture. I'm still watching it consecutively so that I can kind of see the progression and see these changes. But in that match, I already felt like at Windy City, he has grown so much since being away from AEW in such a short amount of time. What's he going to be like when he comes back? So
AEW should try excursions. That's what it sounds like to me.
you know
Send
what?
Wardlow to Japan. We'll
I don't
fix him.
know if you have if you use this
bang
word,
on.
Monty, in America, but we use it over here sometimes, and it's in work. You call it a secondment, and I feel like they sent Jack Perry on a secondment to another company to like go and learn the ins and outs, just to come back and show us what he's got. You know, they should do more of that.
I had a secondment before we started the pod. Anyway, predictions. All Bucks. So the girls on 10, boys on 9. And the main event, AEW World Championship match, Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe. The crowd was overwhelmingly behind Strickland, carrying over the Swerve house chants that started all the way back on the pre-show. And I did feel sorry for the people on pre-show sitting in their seats 90 minutes before the main show started. So it meant, if my math is correct, they were sitting there for about 5.5 hours by the time this happened. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Prince Nana bestowed upon Strickland a robe previously worn by the late Jimmy Rave, one of the manager's clients in original Ring of Honor, and Strickland wore Black Panther-inspired gear, reflection, the cultural significant moment that awaited him if he defeated Joe. The challenger survived a Coquina clutch on the champion, then delivered the house call, but Joe managed to kick out at 2. Joe attempted to overwhelm and exhaust Strickland, only for the challenge to weather the storm, drive the hill to the mat, and deliver the second top rope double stomp off the top to secure the match and win the title. The fans in St. Louis erupted for Strickland, adding to the moment, ensuring that everyone involved knew the result was the right one. And like I said, history has made your new AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland. But Jaxie, I have got to say now, I think the most important thing about it is that my champion is black. But I don't know how you feel about this.
I mean, like you just said it right there. Our champion is now black, and it's an amazing feeling. You know, it's a major milestone for AEW. You know, like making sort of history with the first black champion here. And I don't know any other man that is more deserving of this title. You know, someone to actually make history like that. This was an absolute banger of a match between both Joe and Swerve. Joe really dominated very early on, which kind of gave like that sense of dread of like, is Swerve ever going to be able to pick up on his on some momentum here? So you know, there was that level of struggle and thinking, you know, is Tony really like going to pull the plug on this? Or are we actually going to get this or not? But both men worked so well together. I got chills, you know, like I definitely, I don't try to speak on behalf of everyone, but as a person of color, I got chills at Swerve's entrance. Not only sort of, like you said, the visual representation of what it could mean to win the championship for him that night, but also representing, you know, a character who also made history within the comic book world, with King T'Challa, and everything that he brought from that. And you can even go even further and just talk about Chadwick Boseman's legacy, where he left off from, and feel that Swerve was bringing all of that essence, and all of that hard work that Chadwick Boseman put himself through, working on those movies whilst undergoing treatment the way he did, and just showing and proving that a warrior can prevail. Swerve did that. I'm completely proud. I'm so overwhelmed with how great a match that was. This meant a lot to a lot of people out there, regardless and irrespective of your race. Like, just as a human being who is connected with emotions and just all here for history-making moments. This was surreal, and probably going to be one of the most talked about moments from 2024 in terms of what wrestling has brought this year. Yeah, I can't really say much more to give the match justice. I think you should definitely go ahead and watch it yourselves, just to really kind of get that feel of, you know, the accomplishment that Swerve got with this win here. It was just an amazing match.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and again, Monty, we've talked about this before, and again, I know the kind of significance of Swerve winning. But for me, I'm happy, not, you know, just because I called Swerve a star all the way back in NXT. So, you know what I mean? Like, even the validation of, like, I saw him, you know, what was it, 3.5, 4 years ago, and it was like, that guy is going to be world champion one day, you know, and that is kind of what I'm happy about. But Monty, as Jackie's saying, it's even more than that, you know. This is kind of history has been made.
Yeah, man. Like you mentioned, history's been made. I kind of had to get my mind state to just focus on that, on the positive part of it, because of like you mentioned, the history it made, because it's really more layered when it comes to Swerve because of certain things that he's done in the past. But you know, you just end up being so happy that he's in that position, but not only just because of what it means and what it signifies. You know, we mentioned it when we talked about Jay, Naomi, and Bianca, and just having them in general, just having the representation. So it's not even just that, but you can add Swerve onto that list of just where you're just proud at the end of the day that he's in, not only in that position, but he's one. It's not a lot of times. I think Kofi, and he mentioned Kofi multiple times, and I love and Kofi's moment. A lot of people talk about how bad 2019 was for WWE, and it was. The Kofi Mania, Kofi in general, he made that year for me. Him and Daniel
Yeah,
had the best
yeah,
match in
that was
WWE by far. But everybody can see
agree.
when the way that ended, you can kind of look at it and be like, we kind of had to twist them into making Kofi that. This is one of those situations where it was like, this was something that we all saw coming. But like you mentioned, James, he earned it. He deserved it. He worked his ass off to do it. And I think that's the thing that I focus on more so for Swerve, to where it's like, I don't think anybody can ever take away from not only not the milestone, but I don't think this is any type of, let's just do it because this is a moment that needs to be done, or this is the fans are bothering us to do it. Like, no, he deserved it. He's been one of the biggest stars in the AEW for a while now, with his feuds and just his match output and just everything he's done. So, you know, the way he got himself over, it's been really special to kind of watch, like you mentioned, James, from where he came from getting released. Me and you both talked about it immediately when the big mass releases happened, that if you was going to let anybody from Hit Row go, Swerve was not the one. You know, it just didn't make sense to us that Swerve was the one that they decided needed to go, when he was by far the one that we saw the biggest future for. And even somebody had to see something for him, because he was the leader of that group when they started out. So, you know, it's kind of crazy that he was the one that got sent away, but he's knocked it out the park. He's made himself just even bigger than people realize. You know,
It's
the
one of those
body transformation, the intensity. You
it's
know,
one
as
of those
great as he was.
pretty woman moments.
And
You
then,
know,
Julie?
that pretty woman moment when she goes in and goes, big mistake, big mistake. That's what I
Right,
feel like with
exactly.
Swerve. Yeah.
Exactly. And what I love the most about it, Jay, like you mentioned it, we saw it, but it was more so because of what we saw him do in the ring, the talent and the athleticism. You could see it. But he added an entire layer above, you know, besides that, with the intensity and just the especially with the stuff with
Levels,
Hangman,
wasn't
just
it?
how
Yeah.
serious, right, he can actually go. He a mean streak. That's what I mean. Like, a lot of times, you know, when you're a champion, you gotta be able to have both sides. Yes, you can be funny, yes, you can do that, but you got to have that side to where we like, no, the champion can get down and dirty, and I think we all know that Swerve can also do that. He's become so well rounded, so it's been really, really beautiful to see. And yeah, man, it was an honor. It's just like one of you guys mentioned. It's just special. Just one of those things that we're just glad that it happened, and they chose the right guy for it to be in this spot. I think he
Yeah.
completely deserves it. And yeah, man, you just can't do anything but tip your cap to AEW, but also to Swerve for working his ass off and getting there.
But I think that's the thing as well, is the fact that people going, oh, right, you know, it's a black champion. It's just like, no, Swerve isn't got here because of any other reason of being one of the hottest talents in AEW and deserving this spot. Like I said, the feud with Page and everything that he's done character-wise, when you consider he was saddled with Parker fucking Bordeaux, what was it, a year and a half ago, whether it was, and he kind of built from that, even the Prince Nana stuff. And actually, I remember watching this documentary called The Wrestlers, and it was him on the independent scene, and he went and he did death matches, and he did comedy matches, and he did everything in
Right.
between.
He's done it
He
all.
wanted to learn every single style. And like I said, when you're that well-rounded, and you have got, and even in the press conference as well, where people are going, oh, you're at this baseball game, or, you know, you're doing it, you go, I did it all the time. You know, I've been doing this. You know, my crossover appeal is there. You guys just haven't been talking about it, but you will now that I'm a champion. And this is the thing as well. And again, another thing, and Gina, I want to get your thoughts on this, but Stephen Smith counting the pinfall as well. You know, like I said, it was the first black referee to referee a main event of an AEW show, and the history there for Swerve. And again, the guy deserved it, but like we talk about, this is just a moment in time, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And Stefan is definitely going to remember that himself. You know, not only did he make another kind of stat for that night, but he got to witness it and be there himself to see it, you know. And again, we all wanted to see this rise. We saw what Swerve could bring to us, and every time he would come on the screens, we just knew that he could get us there with the charm that he has, with the fact that he's able to have this connection to the fans. You know, they just want to see more of him. It was definitely the right call. And yeah, again, I think it was just awesome. His song is so sick as well. So if people don't like his song or are sick of it, they might want to get used to it.
But the song, sorry, he choked him, but the song is like the package of Swerve as well. You know, it's like having that song, having Prince Nana, having that kind of personality, even like the eyeshadow that he's been wearing recently. They're kind of drawn me in more. I've always been drawn into Swerve.
Yeah, I've noticed that he wears like, you know, eyeshadow that like darkens his eyes and kind of shows you like maybe he's not getting sleep very well, or he's like, this sort of thing. It's pretty cool. I don't want them to ever do of splitting him up from Nana.
No, yeah,
definitely not. But going back to what you said earlier about Swerve, James, being back in NXT, I remember, you know, kind of being able to that was where I first saw Swerve as well. Not only did that the song that he had in NXT go hard, I actually loved that song for him, but like even from his entrances and his presence within the ring, like he commanded attention. He's always had that star power, and he's just really like crafted this now, and I think it was just the perfect timing. I think going back to what Monty said, it wasn't a case of, oh, we should you know, do this now because he's hot, we should do this now because he's over with the crowd. No, he worked his ass off, and he fully deserves this push. Like he did this on his own, and it's well deserved, and you can see that.
Yeah, and again, let's hope this week, or the week it was, you know, a couple of weeks went by, is the start of something special. You know, like we talk about Swerve winning the AEW World Title, of course, Trick Williams as well, the NXT Championship, Carmella Hayes being drafted number 1, facing Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. Let's hope this is kind of base of what we got. And again, if I look at these guys, in my head, I just look at my former North American champions, and other people have got other opinions. But again, the talent is there, but we can't say, especially on this moment, about history being made. Out of 5, then. So, Monty, what would you score the main event out of 5?
Yeah, it's the funny thing about it. I think for the moment it probably deserves a perfect, but I'm gonna give it 4 in a quarter. I thought the match was still really good. I didn't think it was good, better than the ladder match, or better than Ospreay and Danielson. I think that's the funny thing about it. I kind of felt for them and the tag match for having to follow a match like that. But honestly, they didn't do a bad job though. I thought the last 3 matches were, especially when you were watching it in the moment, it all just kind of felt perfect, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I give it 4 1/4. I don't think it was as good of a wrestling match as the other 2, but man, it was a good time, and we got the moment that we wanted, so it did its job.
Yeah, and also want to say as well, fair play to Samoa Joe, the ultimate pro. You know, and again, even when he lost, getting straight out of that ring and walking up that ramp and giving Swerve.
Do you consider him a transitional champion? Because he was so fun, I can't even say he transitioned. You know what I mean?
I don't think he was.
It was so fun, you know?
I give him credit.
It was only like 120 days.
But he picked the ball up when MJF, you know what I mean? When AEW was kind of like at its lowest moment, Joe was the one backstage and on camera was like, no, I'll take the fucking ball. So like I said,
he was awesome.
With Joe, it cemented his legacy, hasn't it? You know, Jaxie, what's your score?
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot of what you both have just said. But I gave this a 4.5. I do think that it was really tough because even when this match first started, I was like, what are Joe and Swerve going to do that can really just um, one up on what Osprey and Danielson did? And it's horrible to compare it like that, but I feel like I would be giving it a 5. Just because. But I feel like if we're just really rating the match, the wrestling and stuff, yeah, like 4.5 would be a really decent one. Although I'm really overwhelmed and happy with how this match went, and big props to Joe. I didn't feel like he came across as a transitional champion at all. So not from me anyway.
Yeah, Gina.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 3/4.
Yeah. Well, I gave it a 4/4. Predictions, we all went Swerve, so it means final scores. The girls are on 11, boys are on 10. So it means the AEW Prediction League, Monty still on 0, and Gina and Jaxie join me on 1. So Gina's winning streak. Gina, you're starting to piss me off, girl. You know that? Like, you usually do this later on in the year. Why are you starting so early?
Come back. I did warn you. I said I was going to come back for my throne.
You did. You're right. And Jaxie, oh my God, this is your first win in, what, a couple of years, isn't it?
Oh, yay. Shut up. Shut up. Let me have this win, James. You know what? Let's wait until the next AEW when I surpass you, because if I win at the next one and you're going to lose, and then I'll be above you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Watch.
we'll see what happens.
It's not a spoiler. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
All right. So I will say overall, because we're going to do the rating, would it be fair to say for everybody our match would be Osprey and our MVP would be Swerve? Has anybody else got a different MVP?
No, that's going to be my
correct. Yeah.
As we're talking about, if this was a 7-card show, this would be one of the greatest shows ever. Imagine if we had just had the TBS, Okada, Storm, Trios, Osprey, Bucks, and then Swerve. It would have been sensational. We could have had the other Trios match on 0 Hour and saved O'Reilly versus Strong, so Cole could actually do something. But for me, I think, again, really strong stuff. I'm going to give it a 9. Jaxie, what about you?
I too am giving it a 9.
Ooh. Monty?
Yeah, when you got one of the best matches you've ever seen on a card, it's really hard to kind of go under it. But Jericho really pissed me off. I'm giving it 8 3/4.
I love that. I love that. I kind of want to be like that, because you're like, oh, fuck you, Jericho. So no.
And Gina, finally, what is your
Do you know what? I was going to give it a 9, but after getting reminded about Jericho, I'm just like, Monty, fuck you, Jericho. It can have 8 3/4 just for that.
So there we go. Like we said, our champion is black, and what a day it is in professional wrestling. That is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
You can find me at my Monty Pod on Twitter, X, whatever. Keep up with me there. I've been doing a lot of stuff outside of anything wrestling related, but I will be returning. That's the only way you're going to keep up with me. Earlier, I was putting my daughter to sleep, so I did not get to say that I did enjoy it. I did give Tony Storm's match like 4 stars overall. I really did like that match. You down as 4. So that's about it. There you go. Thank you. But yeah, that'll be it.
And when you say, you put your daughter to sleep, you don't mean a GTS. You mean like the nice way. Again, we don't want to be too.
No, yeah.
About
the night way, the nice way. Yeah. The way that won't get me arrested.
Yes, yeah, no, we'll move on quickly. That was a bit weird of me. Jaxie, where can people find you on social media? Not in a weird way.
I'm across both Instagram and Twitter X at Jaxie Scarlett. I'm also on Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett under the same name, where I stream alongside my sister Gina. Come join us sometime.
Ooh, and Gina, what about you?
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
WNR also on Facebook, where hopefully tomorrow, if I remember, I'll post the notes for Dynamites and Collisions, Rampages, and all that kind of shit. If not, then just enjoy the show like we've got now. We're also on Instagram across all group platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com and YouTube. Done podcast with all latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube. And do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. So I'm not sure what the next episode will be. Monty and I need to do an NXT update because, of course, we've got the small issue of Ia versus Trick Williams for the NXT title. But what we do know is next Sunday. Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely going to do that at some point. But we know next Sunday is Backlash, which we will have to do predictions for this weekend as well. Fucking hell. Well, there we go. Lots going on. But until then, I have been James Rowlands. And I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. I mean, my God, your win is like rocking horse shit, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to ride this high until we go into Backlash. Let's see whether or not I can bring that same luck with my predictions for that this week. So catch us next week to see whether or not I continue running that high or whether or not I crash and burn.
The mind of Monty, you need to strike back at Backlash.
Yeah, she's talking about whether or not she's gonna crash and burn. I know which one I'm rooting for.
And of course, the genius of Gina. And Gina, in all seriousness, if you were to do the Dirty Dancing kind of, run and lift, you'd lift me up, wouldn't you?
100%. My arms are much stronger than they seem. Trust me.
Good luck.
Might just throw you somewhere. I might not be able to hold it, but you'll get up there.
It's been a long time since I've been held. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.